There is nothing funnier about millionaires pretending these billionaires are out of touch.
Oh yeah.
And then, take Dwight from The Office down to West Virginia. Take him through those coal mining countries. Take him through those places in Appalachia where people have extreme poverty and pills have ravished those areas. Take him through there.
And it's everywhere. Yeah, the sad thing is it's everywhere now. It's not. Yeah. It's funny. People right off the get-go, I guess because it was Radio WV that posted the original video, but I've never once advertised myself as being necessarily from the mountains. My grandfather grew up in western part of Virginia in the mountains, but I'm from Farmville, which is technically Piedmont. But even throughout rural Virginia, that poverty is a big issue and drugs are a big issue. And I mean, it's not just even in the rural areas. You go into downtown Richmond or any downtown anywhere for that matter. It's almost like these problems exist everywhere now and I think, obviously they are because that's why the song resonated the way it did. Even in other countries. In other countries, yeah.
Well, people are tired of being fucked with. And it seems like people in power are always fucking with people. And I think it's a natural inclination that human beings have. And I think the founding fathers of this country recognized that when they set up our government. They set up our government to protect it against tyranny. And they did it by having all these different branches of government, and they're all coordinated, and there's a lot of stuff that keeps people from just running it the way they want to run it like a king.
Yeah. Well, I'm certainly I'm no professional historian, but my understanding is that the federal government was never intended to be the size that it is today. It's just we're very top heavy in the way we're structured. Our federal government is enormous and out of control and almost impossible to manage. But then on our community level and in our state government, things are, especially local government, things are just very neglected and weak and disconnected. And so that's why you see a lot of the problems. We shouldn't have to rely on the federal government to fix things out in the street in small town America. The communities and the local government should be the ones fixing that. And that's the way I see things. Even before our current form of government, I remember reading about Articles of Confederation, and that was just an even smaller version of federal government, but it needed to have a little more structure than that. But even from day one, it seems like the federal government's never supposed to be the size that it's gotten to. That's
a good argument if the country didn't get to the size that it got. The problem is you can't have 30 people running 300 billion people.
But I think you could have more issues. So I think it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible for states to be able to have the control to make the right decisions for the people in their areas when the federal government limits them in so many different ways.
I don't know anything about this, so I'm going to be talking out of my ass. But I would imagine they're probably low on funding too. There's probably a lot of issues, especially in places that are poor, because they rely on taxes from those people. Yeah. It's all very complicated, but the idea of taxing the rich being the way to fix all this, no, you're just going to give more money to the government, and they're not really good at doing stuff. Would it be nice if rich people donated to fixing streets and schools and stuff like that? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it would be. Good call. Also, fat people shouldn't be buying fucking fudge rounds with food stamps.
Yeah.
Also, that's not good.
Yeah, and that's a funny.
But also,
that's a conversation that sort of got blown multiple ways. And really, I like to let a song be left up to the interpretation of the listener. But even with that, it's I would love to write a song about. I always thought it was funny to when GM got bailed out of the recession after they made all these terrible decisions. I never understood why I've never understood corporate welfare either to much of an extent. So I do understand the people making that argument.
Well, the corporate welfare argument is you're going to lose a shitload of jobs. You can preserve those jobs, give those people a loan, they build back up, then they repay the loan. That's what they did, though.
Yeah.
So there's actually some benefit to that. So it keeps American jobs, and it also keeps one of the most iconic American car manufacturers in business. It's good for everybody.
Yeah,
I think
it's a good conversation to have.
It is what gets bailed out and what doesn't, and why. Yeah,
yeah, but ultimately, I do see a lot of people that aren't taken care of.
Yeah,
and so
the most used business that didn't get taken care of during the crash, the porn business. The porn business got wrecked. They got wrecked because they used to rely on DVD sales, and then internet pirating came along, and they lost everything. And meanwhile, these politicians are probably whacking off every day to them.
That's a big industry even today.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, hey, for whatever they lost during the recession, they made it back during COVID, because that's my understanding. Everyone was doing that then. So
I don't know how that works. Like, who's getting paid? I don't know how that works. I'm sure there's a lot of money in that business. There's obviously a lot of eyeballs in that business. I believe it's 1/3 of internet traffic worldwide or something bonkers like that.
Yeah.
Isn't it something like that?
It should be more. I don't.
Let's find out what it is. What's the percentage of? And everybody's like, I don't know where it's coming from. I mean,
It's not me.
I've never even seen one of these films.
That stuff's terrible for people.
It's terrible for some people.
I gave that up.
I think it's like Adderall.
Yeah.
Some people can handle it.
That's one thing. That is one thing I had to give up. Because it's, I don't know. It does disconnect you from reality in many ways. Like, and I think a lot of the weird perversion we see, like, coming out sort of like now at this point, you read about, I mean, I even reference some of it in the song, of course, but you read about like a lot of the weird things that people are doing that maybe wouldn't have been accepted 100 years ago. I think people go down these rabbit holes with porn, and they start off with the video with the milkman, and by the end of it, it's like, where did I end? I don't know. People have to keep, it's almost like a drug. People have to keep chasing that thrill, and it takes them down very destructive rabbit holes, if you will. So
it definitely can for some people.
I have no issue with anybody watching it, but I do hate to read about some of the things that it does to people. It ruins marriages and that kind of thing. It's like, I don't know, but
I think a lot of things ruin people. I think they also should be legal. Like,
sure, yeah.
Alcohol ruins people. I like the fact that bars are legal. Shit, I own a bar. Alcohol is legal. I like it. It's good. It's not good for everybody, though. Some people drink alcohol and they lose their fucking mind, and it's not good for them, whether it's genetically or whatever it is. They can't have a drink. I like a drink.
Yeah.
And I support your right to do whatever you want. Like, I think if cocaine was legal, the same amount of people would probably do it, and it would be real. You'd get pure cocaine. It'd probably be better. We'd probably have better music. If you're getting this fentanyl mixed shit and you're out of your fucking head.
Yeah, well, that's the problem.
Overdoses.
Like, yeah, I mean, gosh, yeah, look at when the government bans something. It only makes it worse. So that's certainly not the answer.
I'm not interested in Adderall. I'm interested in trying it once. But I'm not interested in, like, doing Adderall. I am interested. I'm lying. I'm interested because everybody loves it. But I'm scared of it.
The porn stats, you're right about 30%, but this is the only one I find to be odd.
In 2020, 16.5 years was the average age of first exposure to porn in the United States.
16 and a half, that's like you're a
That's
sophomore,
because
junior in high school.
90-year-old people are still alive, and they do it based on them.
I first saw my girly movie when I was 20. Frank had a reel-to-reel camera in the basement. We all got there, and we had raincoats on, and
that's what it is. It's like when you factor in infant mortality to the average age that people died during the Roman era. That's what it is.
So you expect it to be lower than 16 and a half?
I mean,
yeah, it should
teenagers.
be. Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
You give a kid a phone.
Now,
instantly they
I know that was one thing that was interesting to me in Virginia. They just recently changed the law where I think you have to enter your driver's license to watch porn now.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Now they know exactly who's watching porn.
Well,
that's good if you're watching some freak shit.